We're back to give you the legal edge, and here, as always, is attorney Bryan Waldman from the Sinus Dramus Law Firm. It's the summertime, which means it can be noisy. Maybe it's your neighbor's loud music, their constant use of lawn equipment or power tools, or maybe it's just a dog that does not stop barking. So, Bryan, tell us what laws there are to help prevent excessive noise, and then, what should people do if they have, say, a noisy neighbor?
Sure. Well, first of all, I mean, if there is a noisy neighbor, obviously the best thing to do is to talk to your neighbor.
Yeah.
But I'm not here to give you advice on how to be a neighbor. I'm here to talk to you because I'm a lawyer.
Yes.
And so what do you do in those situations where you do need some intervention? What you need to understand is that noise violations are typically governed by local law. We want communities deciding their own standards for what's reasonable and not reasonable in these situations. Mm-hmm. And so you're going to have to go to a local authority if you have a problem with a neighbor or noise.
Okay, so in what kind of a situation should someone, say, call for help? Maybe the dog is barking. Do I call animal control? What do I do?
So dogs are a good example, and animal control is not going to help you with a noise violation because it's a noise violation, really, not an animal violation.
Right.
So typically it's a complaint to the police department or a city attorney. But keep in mind, these are hard ordinances or laws to enforce because things change. You call the police and say, my neighbor's dog is barking. By the time the police get there, the dog may not even be outside at that point.
Right. You're like, I swear it's been 12 hours. Right. So what can people do? Well,
if it's an emergency, obviously something that needs to be dealt with right away, call the police. But if it doesn't need to be dealt with right away, and most of these things don't need to be, they're repeat offenders that are going to get neighbors upset.
Yeah.
So gather evidence. Get statements from neighbors. Maybe even in today's world, you can take video and give an idea of the situation with sound, and then go to the city attorney's office with all that evidence and say, hey, can you help me out with this?
Evidence, you would say that.
Right.
No, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so I want to be a good neighbor, but obviously, the lawn needs to be cut, and I like to go outside and play some music every now and then, enjoy the weather, so,
Typically, well, first of all, you do need to cut the grass because if you don't, you're going to get ticketed for that.
Right.
So there are guidelines. Most communities say don't cut the grass before 8 a.m. or after 8 p.m.
Yeah.
You can play music maybe a little bit later, as late as 11 p.m. And so just try to be a good neighbor and do what you would want to do.
Yeah, and be respectful. So what are the punishments and consequences for being noisy?
It's typically not a big punishment. It's a civil infraction. It's a small fine, maybe $100 up to $250. Some cities have misdemeanor charges, but it's very rare.
Okay. All right, Bryan. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here, and as always, giving us the legal edge.
Thank you.